All right, welcome to Introduction to Intermediate Rhythms. Now, if you have not gone over the basic rhythms, please visit the video Introduction to Basic Rhythms before you beginning this one, or this one will make no sense. Okay. In the intermediate rhythms, okay, we will be going over the dotted half note, quarter note, dotted quarter note, single eighth note, paired eighth notes, 16th notes, dotted quarter rest, and the eighth rest. So a lot of stuff in this one. Okay, we are still going to work with our same basic structure of using 4 beats to be able to work on our rhythms. Let's start with a quick review of some basic rhythms. Okay, first off, we want to make sure we remember that our half note takes up 2 beats, a quarter note takes up 1 beat, and an eighth note takes up 1 or half of a beat. So there's always 2 per beat. And remember that we worked on the idea of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and because we have an eighth note here, this is the 4 and. So we have, when we're tapping this out to know our rhythm, go 1, 3, 4, and. A reminder that that's how this works. If you don't remember, please go back to the view of the Basic Rhythms movie and watch that first. And another quick reminder is that anything can go anywhere, any combinations that you can think of to be able to have a rhythm. Okay, so examples, here we have 1 and 2 and 4. You have to be able to say the rests with silence. Down here at the bottom we have 1, 2, 4 and. Okay, so you make sure that you know this stuff before we go on. We're going to start talking about dotted rhythms. Now, dotted rhythms, basically what a dotted rhythm does is it extends the length of a note half of its value. Now, that's confusing to say, but I'll show you how this works. For instance, you know that a quarter note is 1 beat. What we're going to do is we're going to take a dotted quarter note. So I'm just going to kind of put it below here so you can see. Now notice how when I put it here, it doesn't just fill in the line here, it extends past this little bit. That little bit is the same, you can see, as half of the eighth notes. Okay, so 1/8 note. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm just going to put 1/8 note up here. So now we have a maxed length. So the idea of this is when you do this, we would have 1, and this would have been 2. In this case, we're going to do 1, and then because it's held out, we're going to treat it like we did the half note and put that, and remember that takes that dash, we hold out the sound. That takes the place of 2. Now we can't just leave it like this, because the problem is that you got half of this left over. You got to fill it somehow. You can't just leave it there. So there are 2 options for this. You can either use an eighth note to fill in the rest of the spot, or you can use this, which is the eighth rest. If you use the eighth rest, what would have been and now becomes silence. And like we did on the other one, when we have a rest, we put those parentheses around to say don't say it. So in this case, to count this, we would go 1, 1. Now a lot of people say, well, why is that different than the half note? Well, the difference with the half note is the half note goes all the way through both beats. So it's 1 versus 1. It just kind of holds. It's a little difference. It's subtle, I know, but it is going to help in a second. Now, you will only see for a while, these two combinations, either the dotted quarter note and the eighth note, or the dotted quarter note and the eighth rest. The tapping of this, make sure to get rid of this. Okay, if we have the eighth note there, you're going to say and. One and. One and. One and. Okay, and that's very important that you get that in your heads how that goes. One and. Less common you'll see is this one, which is the dotted quarter with the eighth rest. More common will be that one. It's also easier to count because this one you just have one. It's just one, and that's it. This one you have to have that extra and. One and. And I'm going to put a couple of these together so you can see. There's that and that. So our tapping would go in this one. We still have our counting. This is 2. This is an and. We have a dash for 4. And you know what? I've even made a mistake. That's not 2. That should be 3 because we already have 2 right there. So make sure we don't. Make sure you always have 1, 2, 3, and 4 all in there. Okay, so our tapping of this will go like this. 1 and 3 and. 1 and 3 and. So a dotted quarter note, always remember 1, 1, and then the dotted quarter and eighth, 1 and 1 and 3 and. Okay, so there's those. Now, if we wanted to do a dotted half note, now dotted half note is actually easier. You just notice it takes up 3 beats. The dotted quarter note, or the regular half note takes up 2 beats. You add a half to it, it'll take up a total of 1, 2, 3 beats. That's all that is. It's just the 3 beats. So when you count it, you're going to count it very similar to the way you did your half note and your whole note. This takes place 2, this takes place 3. So you're going to have 1, 1, and then you can fit whatever you want at the end. Quarter note, paired eighth notes, rest, whatever you want to put at the end. Okay, but this one is just simple 1, and you got to wait that long. The last thing we're going to talk about in the intermediate rhythms is the 16th note. Now, a 16th note, I want you to notice something. On the side here, I have 3 sets of notes. And what I want to show you is this. Each of these is 1 beat long. As you can see, they all fit into a beat of time. Now, we talked about how eighth notes, you divide the quarter note into 2 notes. With 16th notes, you're actually taking each eighth note and dividing it into 2 notes. So now we're taking this quarter note, or you can just say we're taking a quarter note and dividing it into 4 different notes. Now, the counting of this is very important. So I'm going to put a couple of these up so we can see how to count the 16th notes. Now again, like the quarter notes and eighth notes, they can go anywhere in the measure. Just realize that that's how it gets put. In this case, the first note of each group is always the number of the beat. That's the first one. This one here. That one there. The rest of them follow this pattern. E and A. E and A. 3 E and A. 4 E and A. Now, if you have noticed, if you pick this up, we talked about how we split this way, and this was like, let's say 1, and this is and. When we split it this way, okay, we end up with 1, which matches the same time as this one. Then this one was E. Then this one here is AND. This one here matches with this here. And then the last one is up. So we're just matching up where the 2 8th notes are. 1 8th note starts here, the other 8th note starts there. So we have, in our counting, it would sound like this. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Do it one more time. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And that one's pretty simple to get. Just when we start putting them together, we got to be clear where they are on the beat. So let's do a couple of examples. Let's do something very, very basic to start. All right. So we have our red dot counting. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, E, and up. So we count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4 E and up. 1, 2, 3, 4 E and up. Okay, let's mix that up a little bit. Okay, let's start with quarter note, but have us do a couple of 16th notes this time. Okay, let's work them out. 1, 2 E and 3, 4 E and Okay, so we count that out. It goes 1, 2 E and 3, 4 E and 1, 2 E and 3, 4 E and 1, 2 E and 3, 4 E and. All right, and then let's make it a little bit more complicated. Let's try this one. Okay, work it out. We have 1 E and 2 and, because we have 8 notes, 3 E and 4. So when that counts out, it goes 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4. So that is the introduction to 16th notes. Let's go over now a couple of examples using all the rhythms, or at least most of the rhythms that we have used so far. Okay? So we're going to start mixing a few of these together. So let's start by remembering our dotted eighth, or dotted quarter and eighth, and then I'll put in a couple eighth notes and a quarter note. Okay? Just to get ourselves started with this. All right, so work it out. We have 1, 2 would go here. That's an and. 3 and 4. Now we're going to make sure that we get rid of the 2 because we're holding over. Takes the place of 2, and now we have our rhythm. So we have in time it goes 1 and 3 and 4. 1 and 3 and 4. All right, let's mix up a little bit more. Let's do this. Add a rest in. And work it out. 1, 2. Here's where 3 would be. And this would be 4, but we don't say 4 because it is a rest. And the 3 goes away because we are holding on. So that takes the place of 3. So now we have 1, 2, and. 1, 2, and. So we don't say anything on the rest. All right? Let's try a little bit of, let's try this. Actually, I want to move that to here. We're going to mix to this. Okay, let's work it out. We have 1 and 3. There's where 4 would be, and. Okay, we don't say 2 because it is a rest, and we don't say 4 because we are holding on. Takes the place of 4. So this bottom rhythm is going to be 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. All right, let's mix in some 16th notes now. Start off with something a little bit simpler. Okay, so we have 1, 2 E and a, 3 and 4. So that's tapped out. 1, 2 E and a, 3 and 4. 1, 2 E and a, 3 and 4. All right, now we can guys start to mix some more things in here. Okay, so we're going to start with our dotted eighth and our dotted quarter and eighth, and then let's put in some 16th notes and some 8th notes. Okay, let's work it out. We have 1, 2 and 3 E and a, 4 and. But we get rid of the 2 because we are holding over. There's 2. Now this one goes 1 and 3 E and a, 4 and 1 and 3 E and a, 4 and. So hopefully you're starting to get this figured out. Okay, now I'm going to throw in, mix it up just a little bit more. Rest. So working it out, we have 1 E and a, 2, 3 and 4 goes there. 4 we don't say because we are in, it is a rest, and 3 goes away because we are holding over. So here's what this one sounds like. 1 E and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and. So that is the idea. So I hope this has been helpful in learning about your rhythms, okay? Using your intermediate rhythms of your dotted notes, dotted quarters, dotted half, your quarter notes, eighth notes, eighth rest, quarter rest, and 16th notes. And I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, you may ask your teacher, but you are now ready to look at the green and the yellow cards on the PowerPoint for practice.